Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Spiritually Connected with Tanya Lee. I'm your host, Tanya Lee. Today I've been wanting this guest on for some time. And it's just all about timing and all about scheduling. It is the fantastic Miss Cheryl Murphy. So let me tell you a little bit about Cheryl. Cheryl first experiences the spiritual world at the age of 3, when a glowing orb floated through her bedroom. Growing up, psychic phenomenon was a regular occurrence in her home and viewed as quite natural. All the female family members experimented with metaphysics, and so it was only natural her and her brother would practice together as kids. Cheryl practices animal communication, writes articles on spirituality, and teaches individual development to students worldwide. She is a phenomenal teacher, folks. She is also the founder of the Healing Prayer Circle and a member of Find Me, a nonprofit organization focused on locating missing persons. Cheryl lives in the Los Angeles area with her family, 3 cats, Blackie, Shorty, and Kitty. Please welcome Miss Cheryl Murphy.
Thank you so much for having me, Tanya. Thank you. It's such a joy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on. Do you know, honestly, I had the experience of only meeting you just this year, and it was just the very first time I met you. We didn't even officially meet in person. Very first time I met you was seeing you when we started the book. So the Last Breath, the book, we're both authors. You're part of it, and I think I love it. Can you tell me what chapter your book is?
I am in chapter 6.
Ooh.
So I'm in chapter 6, and I also have the book. I brought it with me.
Love it.
And, I'm in chapter 6. It's called Spirit Party.
And so what inspired that story?
I'm so glad, first off, that I was just able to be a part of this beautiful book and to meet you. And, you and I have just had so many nice conversations since we've met. But in chapter 6, Spirit Party, it's a great story about a time that was very sad in my life. My father was getting ready to depart this world. So he was in the hospital. And I had gone home briefly just to, take a respite or a break. And this was really near the end of his passing because he had been in the hospital for a month. And I walked in the house, and it was an empty house. It was just him and I living there. So it was empty, that I thought it was empty. But I got to my house, and there was actually a spirit party in the house happening, because they were preparing the transition for my father. So there was this welcoming committee, if you want to say. So when I walked in the house, there's lights, there's music, there's sound. I'm in some alternate reality, which is really, our reality. We're just, learning that we are already in the spirit world. But I walked into the kitchen, and all of these spirits are talking to each other. They're very busy making these party arrangements, and they're excited, So I knew it gave me validation, I think, in some way, for my father to pass. I mean, even so, I just kind of had to get my way through the kitchen. I felt like I was in a crowd. So I'm elbowing, please excuse me, because I can hear them. They're looking at me. They're not pausing at all. They're like, hurry, hurry, we have to get ready for this party. So I actually got a message from Spirit while I was at the house to get back to the hospital. I stopped what I was doing. I got back to the hospital, and that afternoon was when my father passed. So, and some of those people that were at the spirit party, my loved ones and his loved ones and friends, they were there at the hospital, which I know many people have seen, when our loved ones passed. True. It was such a beautiful transition. And in some way, my chapter talks about or helps people validate or hopefully comforts them to let them know that, we have loved ones on the other side, and they're waiting for us, and, they're going to throw a party. I just want to tell you that they're going to throw a party when we get there.
I love that. And I love how you describe it, because it's true. They do throw parties. I can validate that for sure. With my experiences too. But that's not how you started your journey, right? Your journey definitely started way long time ago.
Yeah, my journey actually began when I was very small. I saw during the middle of the night, I woke up, I was just a very small child. I saw this golden glow in my room, and it was like a family. It was a soul family is how I just describe it. Is it's a glow, but I knew it was multiple souls, if that makes sense. But they were very friendly. They just came to check on me. They were saying hi, how do you like it here on this earth plane? They actually moved things around in my bedroom. This was amazing, right? Like my calendar started swinging side to side, a toy moved across the room. I was in no way in fear. I just thought, oh, they're just here, and that's just their energy, is to move things. That's what they do. And for a while, Tanya, they visited me. So, I had about 3 or 4 experiences with them when I was very young. So that was amazing in itself.
It's incredible. You also had family, like in your bio, it talks about how it's quite natural for your family. So that's definitely not the experience I have. I love your story. I think it would, for those people that do have the, growing up and nurturing, and I think people are coming into it more where they are nurturing people that are their children that are spiritually gifted. So I think we've come a long way, but that's natural. So how did you figure out that it's actually not normal? Did you go to school and find out and not everybody can talk to dead people, or what did that look like for you? I'm so curious.
I know, it's exactly right. Inside my home growing up, it was natural for us to have seances or to light a candle and ask for Abraham Lincoln to come through. That was my little brother and I. We practiced together growing up. I know, he's so dear. We had such a nice experience growing up. We would practice together. We would hold, like I said, seances or do practice readings. But, even my mother, because it runs on my mother's side of the family, we have Native American in our background. And we had all around our house, we have all these psychic books. We have Edgar Casey, we have all these amazing books that she collected, how to tune in. And of course, there wasn't a whole lot back then, but what we had, it was very normal for us. But I didn't know it was not normal, I guess, not yet anyway. When I walked out of the house and when I went to school, like no one was talking about it. Like no one would talk about it. My friends weren't talking about it. When you're growing up in grade school and elementary, and, if it's not talked about, I just didn't bring it up. But when I went home, it was very normal and natural, and we very much welcomed it. And other members of my family are also very psychic and intuitive. Yeah.
I love that. I think that you're very fortunate. I know you wouldn't take it for granted, but I think you're very fortunate. We choose the life that we have, and I love that you chose that. So I think I'm jealous. I think that I think that's it. And again, I chose the path that I chose, but I always am fascinated with people that had parents that said, yes, you're psychic. And I mean, it happened later for me. My grandma, thank bless her heart, I had that much, much later. But just to think what it would have been like having, your mom, have these, and other females in your family that way too. I'm fascinated by that.
It's truly fascinating because, as I'm growing up, the women in my family, every time we got together for, a holiday or an event, a family gathering, the women would hold a seance. And I was so tiny, I couldn't be a part of that, but I would hear the conversations afterwards, or I would hear, just a little bit here and there, or you get the feeling. And really, I just want to say I have a great aunt, by the way, that was hired by the government to find a missing pilot and aircraft back in the day. So this aircraft was in the snowy mountains. I think it was over in the south mountains somewhere, but she did find the pilot in the plane, but she said, but the pilot's going to be dead because he will have been ejected from the plane, which is exactly what happened. So she did help the government locate this, person and what happened. So in some way, that's pretty terrific, right? When you hire, it's pretty good validation, right? When you hire someone that the government actually came to her for help. So
I think that's amazing.
amazing, yeah.
Amazing.
So we've heard stories like that growing up, and so once again, it's natural for us to kind of tune in or to appreciate really and have gratitude for the spirit world. Yeah.
Oh, so much gratitude. So for somebody that and I've talked to other people that didn't have that when growing up, but for somebody that was like you and was nurtured and helped along the way, how do they, maybe as an adult now, how do they tap in even more? So what would you suggest to them if they want to go deeper?
Right. Like if someone wants to learn how to be psychic, or if they want to how to
Yeah,
connect.
yeah,
What I always want to say is the spirit world is so intelligent, and the spirit world knows our thoughts, feelings, emotions, our what we want in this world. And if that's the intention of that individual, is to heal or to help or to open up their intuitive abilities and speak to their higher guidance or their loved ones, then the spirit world will put that into action for them. So I always want to say, look, if you just take time, sit in silence, or if you need a guided meditation to kind of help you get into that little bit of an alternate reality, it really doesn't take much. But it's really about setting your intention, asking for it to help, asking. You could even say a prayer. But I know over time, what will happen is you will start beginning to see synchronicities in your life, right? We start seeing synchronicities, and that's how we know, oh my God, we're tuned in. Like we are having this two-way conversation, right? When I see 11:11 on the clock, or, when I hear my brother's name called out who's crossed over, but when I see and hear his name, I know he's with me, right? Or for example, if whoever your loved ones, or even your animals, I mean, animals are in heaven too, right? So but that's how we know that we're connected to our guides, our loved ones, ascended masters. So setting the intention, meditating, looking for synchronicities, right? Always having gratitude is a wonderful high vibration that I think that's where our planet's moving now. And that's why all these empaths are opening up right now. 2020 and beyond, all of these empaths are opening up to our higher inner guidance system. And we don't know what to do with it, or the people who don't know what to do with it, it might be just a little anxious, might make them anxious. But what I always want to say is, look, if you can sit in stillness for a few moments, maybe listen to a guided meditation, maybe write a question or two on down about how you want to connect, or maybe to your loved ones, that's how you're going to connect. That's going to work for you. And then look for the signs, right? Look for the signs.
I'm like, yes, that's great advice. Yes. And I'm just nodding my head as you're talking. I'm like, yes, yes, that's perfect. Yes, yes, of course. Oh yeah, I do that too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I love that for sure. Signs. What kind of signs? What should somebody look for?
When I first tell people on how to look for signs, what I tell them is the spirit world wants, your spirit guides want a job. Like they want something to do. So ask them politely, put a request in that you would like the sign to be somewhere that you would see on your everyday outing, so to speak. You could see it on a billboard, on a t-shirt, on the headline in a newspaper. Maybe you hear it on the radio, or you see it in the television, or you hear someone's name. So it's as if you're setting it up in advance on how you want them to come to you, because you're beginning to connect with spirit world. And what will happen is that will happen. I used to always tell my students, give it 1, 2, 3 days, because it will happen. Nowadays, Tanya, it's happening instantly, right? It's like,
It is.
it's like, oh my God, our world, our consciousness is really rising to a point where people are used to this higher vibration. So we take it up a notch, and what happens is that the messages, the signs, we're becoming aware of them because they've always been there. We receive thousands of signs from our loved ones every day, but it's us who are opening up. It's us. It's our higher guidance system. It's our self-awareness, our appreciation that we are more than a physical being. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So when we tap into that and realize, hey, I'm really here to enjoy life and to get the most out of it and to manifest my heart dreams and desires, then we realize that, hey, when we open up, that's when the signs step in, right? So really, I always tell my students, or anyone who comes to a reading with me, just have an open mind, an open heart, and really, really something wonderful is going to happen. Yeah.
I love that. So I have to tell you this story. I'm going to deviate, not deviate, but I'm going to go off just a little bit. So, and I still do signs all the time. I happen to do one this year, and I have talked about it in the past. It's a unicorn, because I actually I'm not big on unicorns. They're not in my realm. I like sparkles, but I'm not a sparkly, unicorn type. I believe that we're all connected. And so it's far fetched for me to ask. I thought, what's something I would never think of or never would normally see in my world? So I asked for a unicorn and a dove. So the unicorn was absolutely, yes, continue on this track, go, go hard with it. And it was, the other one was, no, if I see a dove, it's like, let's back out, let's go the other way. And I was, and I said I had to be within 24 hours. I had to see this so that I knew the time limit that was there. And it wasn't even an hour that all these unicorns start popping up. I'm like, did I just not see these before? But even this little girl in a park comes up to me and don't know from her from Adam, and she has just found these sandals, and they have unicorns on them.
Oh, how cute.
And I thought, okay, I get it. And it I mean, that was probably 2 or 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago now, and I'm still getting unicorns. And I happened to get one yesterday, and I kind of giggled because it still crops up in my head. Should I or shouldn't I? I got the signs. I believe them 100%, and I agree, and I'm going forward with it. And it's still extra validating later on, well after. So I love that you brought up signs, because I think signs are so important back then and now.
That's amazing. And, you know, after you get the sign, I can just tell with you, there's so much joy and acknowledgement. And that's exactly what the spirit world wants. They want us to acknowledge and appreciate all that they're doing for us. So signs can come in any way, shape, or form. They can come, as a rainbow in the sky or a bird. I mean, we never know what spirit, a coin, right? Spirit drops coins that we find. We never know what our sign's going to be or look like, but we know it's a sign because somehow it just rings true in our heart. That's just what I tell people. When you know it in your heart, that is definitely a sign. Like don't let doubt come in, because doubt does play a part, and that's okay. When we're learning, we're beginning, it's okay. Hello doubt, I acknowledge that you're here, but I still believe that's a sign. And then we step from the believing, Tanya, right into the knowing. We move from believing into the knowingness that, of course, that's a sign from my loved one, and it's just amazing. It's an amazing enjoyment of life, really.
I want to talk about that. I agree. I don't want to put that down. Let me back up. I agree with you. I think it is an amazing way to be. I want to come back. I get on such a train of thought here. I want to come back to what you had talked about with regard to the difference between not dismissing it, the signs, and actually leaning into it. I think, and I'd love to hear your perspective. My belief is that that's what changes you and adapts you from being a not skeptic, but a curious psychic to a full-on 100% believing in spirit. Like I believe in spirit 100%. And so I think for me, that's what shifted was, could this be true? Could this be true? The doubt, and moving into it's 100% true. I trust it, and I trust spirit 100%. Is that your experience as well? It shifted for me. So
it is. It's a big shift. It really is. Not to take it lightly, and it's okay to be skeptic. A lot of people are skeptic, and I always say, look, some of the best mediums and psychics out there were skeptics. And you know why? You know what's great about a skeptic is they ask the best questions, right? And spirit wants to answer all of our questions. So what happens is you have skepticism or you have doubt. And what happens is, as you said, we lean into it. And then it just becomes really an evolving statement or experience where we just start stepping more into the signs. But it is a big shift when we go from doubting to believing to guessing to really saying, I claim it, I know. That is a big power statement right there.
yes, I love that. Good. Ooh, that it gives me truth bumps. I like it. So you also touched on being an animal communicator, and you are one of the best ones I know. Can you talk about how that came to be.
Mhm. Well, animal communication, I've grown up with animals certainly my whole life. And I actually kind of learned from animals how to be an animal communicator because with my animals, I talk to them as I'm speaking to you, or, when we meditated, we would meditate together. And actually, they would show me information. They would send me images or flashes in my mind of what was either coming to be, which absolutely did work for me. Also, I did create the telepathic communication with animals. I just want to say, I do know that animals communicate telepathically, but it sounds just like a conversation, just like me and you, but it's happening telepathy, right? Telepathically. But they tell me the neatest things too, about how they have a dental appointment next week with their owner, or or how they don't like eating this certain food and they want it changed, right? Or how they, my animal actually, my little animal, my pet tiger who has since passed, but he helped me, he sent me an image of the house that we would be moving into because we were in between places. And that's amazing. And then it turns, and I didn't know how it was going to happen. I just said, we're going to go for it, whatever, however, and it worked. And it's just amazing.
I love that. That is one of your go-tos. Like you talk to, as you do readings, and that is one of your modalities, correct?
It is, yeah.
I, I get asked that quite a bit if I communicate with animals for people, and that is, so for me, that's not my biggest passion to work with animals. I love animals, don't get me wrong. I love dogs. And I can pick them up, but I will refer out other people. I will say, you know what, I'm not the right one for you. I'm not going to give you the best, strongest reading I don't feel. And so I've referred a couple of people to you because yeah, I definitely agree. I think you're fantastic, and your heart's in it. And I think
Yeah.
that makes a big difference for sure.
Can I say that I'm an animal communicator with animals that are still here in the physical and animals that have deceased. And just to share with you, I have in my working with animals that are here in the physical, like I worked with a horse trainer for a while on around the health of these horses. And so the owner would send me a photograph because I don't need to actually be in the location. So they could send me a photograph and we would discuss the health of these animals who were athletes actually because they were training for racing. But we would talk about their health and what they needed or what they were feeling, or if the medicine they were taking was working or the training they were getting was working. So it really is amazing. Animals are very, very much, as we know, full of unconditional love and very much willing to help us really in our work that we're doing already. So it's just it's a lovely vibration, a lovely frequency.
They do, especially horses. I love
Yes.
the healingness of horses. They're phenomenal. There's a couple of healing horses places around where I live, and a couple in Australia as well. And they're just phenomenal to me.
Mm. Yeah,
So
horses are so high. Yeah,
mm,
horse just beautiful souls, dogs, cats. I mean, birds. I worked with a dog just quickly. I just worked with a dog. Someone had taken their animal, their pet dog, to the vet and had some tests run, but we couldn't get the numbers down. These certain numbers on the lab results wanted down. And just through me tuning into the animal or me just tuning into spirit, my guides and angels helped with this helped this woman with her dog. We had recommended maybe some holistic um, treatment. Not that I'm a doctor, I have to always say that, but intuitively, right? Intuitively, and actually, that did it did help and it did assist in what the dog was already taking. So, I mean, in that way, it's amazing to get these results. Yeah.
I love that. That's amazing. And so animal communication is not the only thing that you do. I want to stress that.
Right.
So talk about some of the modalities that all your modalities. I mean, you're endless, but talk about the ones that you love, that you're passionate about, that you love working in.
Right. Well, I'm passionate about connecting people with their loved ones who have transitioned, who have crossed over. That's my greatest love. I also do a lot of psychic work where I tune into the person in front of me who's here, who's having life challenges or needs to make life decisions. Maybe they're at a point in the road, a fork in the road, or they're between a rock and a hard place, so to speak, or maybe they need help decisions with finance, career, relationships, moving. We all need some validation and support now and then. Right. And then lastly, what I really find that I get a lot of requests for is health concerns. So I have been doing more intuitive health and wellness um, readings, on how people are doing.
I
Right.
love that. Good.
Right. How to get their energy up or how to clear their energy. We all need to clear our energy field sometimes. We all need to add to it. We need to replenish that love, right, that we give out every day.
I love that. Can you talk more about that? So what does that look like to have somebody so how can you tell if somebody needs to clear their energy? Let's tell people what that looks like.
Well, I am clairvoyant. I'm clairsentient and clairvoyant, clairaudient, and a lot. All of us as mediums and psychics, we all work differently, but a lot of us use different senses, and we use them at different times for each situation. But what I do is I can clairvoyantly see their energy field, or I do a medical scan on them, or I want to say a wellness scan, where I can just scan up and down the body, in my mind's eye. They don't need to be with me. I can do it either over the phone, just not even seeing them. I mean, sometimes over the phone is just as great as Zoom and being in person. I mean, it's all energy, right? So it can be just as important and maybe even sometimes more powerful because you're working completely blind, we'll just say that, and you're relying completely not on your own senses. But I'll do a medical scan, and I always ask my medical angels of healing to come forward. I ask my guides who work with me on these therapy levels to step with me into this energy, always with the patient's or the client's permission, right? We always need a person's permission to step into their energy field and to work with them. So that does take a lot of preparation and care, and really, you're really a great honor and privilege to be able to work with that. But my goal is not to invade their energy space, but to support them energetically in what they're already going through. So I'm really working from the outside in, I guess. I'm working on the outside of their energy field, supporting whatever's happening. But I'm always in contact with them before and after I work with our sessions. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I think that helps other people to understand. They're like, okay, what is this clearing thing she does, or do I need that? Because a lot of people just don't know. They just know they don't feel right, or they just feel off. And you also brought out a great point about being on phone. That is, I mean, that's my number one. I've moved completely outside of in person. I mean, with COVID too, of course. But I've moved completely onto phone, and I love it. And I love what you talk about. I'll do Zoom, but for me, I actually prefer, if it's Zoom, it's audio only, or if it's just me on the phone. I can't Google you. I can't, and I'm just closing my eyes and I'm just completely tuned in. I find that the best way to do it, because then I can't see what you look like. I'm not, I can get feedback verbally, but that's it. And it's just 100% here, and it's 100% in your auric field. So I love that you said that. You brought it up. I think that's important.
Yeah, setting the intention and bringing the energy, and having just that communication with that one other person through the voice or however that works out. Setting that intention, it's just so powerful. I mean, so many miracles do happen when it's, when we're always asking. Once again, we're always asking for the highest good to come. We're asking for the help for the next person, whatever they need for their next step on their journey or on their path, right? So it's really a remarkable way to help someone, empower them, right? And help them understand or feel or sense their own higher guidance system.
Love that. I love that. So I want to know, because I'm going, okay, so do you take mentees? I heard you say you do. What are you working on right now? Are you accepting students? Tell me everything you're working on right now.
Yeah, thank you. I do accept new students right now. So I do a monthly mentorship program, and then I do like packages where I work with a person for 3 months or 6 months or even a year-long program. I also am setting up some classes for next year. So, I can just say, stay tuned to my events page because that's where my classes are on my website. But I do teach intuition. I teach how to be a better medium. Even advanced students I'll work with just to validate and confirm, or to help them go a little bit deeper in their work, right? Because we all want to go a little bit deeper, or we all want to do the best we can. We want to give the most we can. And so we're always, I love other colleagues because I'm always working on bettering myself, and everyone around me is too. So it's just so much light always coming in. We're always we all have this open mind about how we can be better. Can we be better in our field?
I couldn't agree more. I tell people, if I'm not in my classroom, I'm in somebody else's. I always want to learn. I don't know what I don't know. So for sure. So then let me know, and I might just have to hop into your classes in the new year. So guys, sign up with her, whatever it is, just sign up. You just enjoy her energy for sure. There's no question. I love it.
I just say that, like, especially like right now, I've been on Zoom, you've been on Zoom, we all been on Zoom. So right now all my events have kind of been on Zoom. I'm doing public demonstrations on Zoom. I'm helping fundraisers on Zoom. We're all just pitching in the most we can, the best we can, to be available. So really, you'll see me a lot on Zoom or on my Facebook page. I'm always doing something live on Facebook, trying, and Instagram more, but more Facebook, just trying to help people know that they're not alone. They're not alone, especially right now. And that really is an amazing time that we're in. This is really a very creative time that we're in. And as you know, Tanya, you would be the one to ask. It's a great time for manifesting too, right?
Yes. Yes. Huge, huge. Well, even the numbers. So I'm big in numerology, and even the numbers right now are just adding up. It's just the dimension wise, it's such a big shift. Lots of people talk about the veil being super thin, and people are going, what the heck do you guys mean by that? And it's just, and everybody's experiencing it now. It's just, there's so much more people waking up. Like you said before, when you were little, it was quite uncommon to have people, parents or families nurture, and now it's becoming much more common.
Mhm.
And opening more. I love that.
I love it too. And I just want to say that you're absolutely right. The veil's thinning. And for a lot of us, it's so easy to see or experience beyond the veil,
Mm-hmm.
and that heaven is right here, or the spirit world is right here, and that we're in their world. And, maybe people who are new to this, just to give them an example. So if you're new to this understanding or this idea of connecting with spirit, if you can kind of imagine on a radio dial that you and I were all operating, we're like 98.6 on the radio. We're on that frequency band of energy, 98.6, and the spirit world is like on 101. So all we have to do is like raise our energy, right? And then the spirit world may lower theirs a little bit, and then we're going to blend. And that's really the easiest way I can say is they're here and we're here. And that's what's the beauty of it is that's the transformation that's happening. Yeah.
I
The
love that.
awareness happening, yeah, with people opening up to that idea and that belief system that, your loved ones are here, and all they want for you is joy and love, and whatever they can support you with.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I love that. Yes, yes. Um, Open to doing a couple of readings.
Yes, I'd love to.
Okay.
Actually, I'd love to. I was hoping you would ask me, so I've been kind of holding back. I'm like, oh, is she going to ask me? I hope she's going to ask me. I know she's going to ask me, Tanya Lee.
So again, just for everybody that's listening in, what I invite somebody to come on the show, and I will always say, hey, if you're open to it, from my inner circle, I give you the first names. Actually, I don't even tell people it's from inner circle. I just say, hey, if you're open to doing readings, I've chosen 4 names that I would love to for you to pick up any kind of energy. It doesn't have to be then. It's just when you pop on, and I always ask, because it may not be right, or it may not feel good in the moment, and if we're having an off day, it's just not going to work. Or so Maria, I asked her to do a couple, and I don't give you guys last names. I'm gonna give you the initial, but not the last names. And just like that, she said, you know what? I have messages. None of them are for them. She's like, it's all for you. And I was like, huh, what? And in the moment, it's exactly how it works. And I go with the flow, and I absolutely love it. It's spirit takes over, and it's the way it's be. So, Cheryl, the only thing you have is the first name, and you have a couple of last initials, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So let's start with the first one, Miss Jackie G. Miss
I'm going
Jackie.
to get my pen and just write down their name. So let me just ask. I'm sorry, it's Jackie, did you say?
Yes, Jackie G.
Okay. So as I tune into Jackie, just to give you, Tanya, I know we're both tuning in, and that's always an honor to link with another medium and their energy. So thank you very much for that. So as I tune into Jackie, I feel a lot of energy with Jackie, I want to say, and I feel it going out in many different directions. So it's kind of like a little bit of a spaghetti situation where there's all these paths. It's not that any of them are negative. It's just that they're all going, and she has enough energy to make that happen. So I want to give her that much credit. But I do want to say, I feel like the spirit world is asking you maybe to narrow it down a little bit, narrow down how many different venues or how many different avenues you want to go in life, and maybe just to focus on 2 or 3. I did feel Jackie writing a book, and that may come in the future, but I do feel her being very, very creative, very much a writer. I keep seeing the color like pink or red with her. So I would just ask her about if she liked those colors, but I see that around her. And what that tells me is either there's a new romance in her life, there's either a new romance in her life, or she's taking her current romance another level. We'll just call it that. We'll just say that because it's very healthy, like it's a very healthy pink color. So that tells me that it's very vibrant in her life and that she's ready for it. But Jackie, what I feel for you is I would just say go for it. The spirit world just asking you to try to focus on 2 or 3 of your wonderful goals that you set, and there'll always be time for those next goals. But you can actually achieve more by doing less, if that makes sense, or by focusing on less, you generate more. That's what I'm hearing.
You know what? That is absolutely perfect. She's actually new to me too. So um, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. And she'll understand that a lot. Good. I love that. The next one is Joanne.
Joanne. And can you spell that like Joann? Is that right?
Joanne.
Yeah, thank you. I always like the beautiful energy of a person's name. There's energy in
Me too.
everything. And I love, when I spell their name, it's just a beautiful energy. Joanne, I do feel that you have been on this path for a long time. It feels like there's an old soul that I'm speaking with. It feels that you have closed some doors behind you in your life. Like, so maybe during this 2020 year, you've actually put things, um, to rest, or you've done a lot of healing on your work, on yourself. I do feel that there's a strong connection between you and your mother, and I felt like both of her and her mother feeling very, very intuitive. And I also felt someone that she loved very much, if this makes sense. I feel she had a passing, and I want to say someone passed in her life that was very close to her, and I want to say like in the past like 2 years or something. I mean, it could be a little bit less, a little bit more, but someone very dear to her has passed, and I just felt like it's about 2 years ago. So if you ever, or when you do connect with her, please, I'd love to know the results on all these readings, but I do feel great love for her. Like she's a very deep person, very deep in thought. So I feel very wise with Joanne, very old soul. Love her. Yeah.
So I do love her as well. And I can confirm that she's intuitive, and so is her mother, and they're extremely connected. For sure.
Excellent. Excellent.
Love that. Next one is Ashley Q.
Ashley Q.
Yes.
Okay. I can spell that here. Ashley Q. Ashley. I love Ashley's energy, and I'll tell you why. Because I feel fearless when I feel Ashley's energy, right? I feel like unstoppable. I feel no resistance around her, where this free spirit energy around Ashley. I feel very connected to divine source. So I know she's very connected in my upper chakras, when I connect with her energetically. I would tell Ashley to bring through guidance more for her is to be more grounded. I would want her to practice grounding and keeping her feet, or more so if she can find some grounding techniques even, or there's grounding meditations. But really it's about bringing all that she's getting from the spirit world into this physical reality, because I feel she kind of can go anywhere and do anything. Like she's this chameleon. So I love that about her. And I feel, like I said, fearless and really no stopping her at all. So really what I want to do is really hone in on that energy and ground it into the Mother Earth, the planet. And then, wow, look out is what I want to say with her.
I love that. So I'm going to talk about synchronicities here just for a quick sec before we get on to the last one. So the synchronicity is, we happen to have Travis on recently, and Travis is a former attorney. You know who Travis is too.
Yes.
He's a former attorney, well, still is an attorney. And then I didn't plan this. We just at random chose 4 names, and the 4 names he had all tied to legal stuff. Like one was another lawyer, another one was a paralegal, and another one worked for the government. It was really cool. And so with Ashley, again, I didn't choose it. I randomly put them out for the person, and I don't believe in coincidences ever, and I know you don't either. And so Ashley Q happens to be very good at communicating with animals as well.
Oh,
So I love that. I
right.
love that. She's also a dog trainer. So yeah.
I love that. I love her.
I
That's
wanted I wanted to bring that up because I think that's important. And you're right. She does need to ground more. She's working on that now. She's one of my mentees, so it's one of the biggest things we're working on right now. Does that make sense? I love it. Good. And so the last one is Miss Jessica.
And it's Jessica, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I love her energy, and I'll tell you why I love Jessica's energy, because she doesn't give up is what I'm hearing. Like she has had many challenges, or she has had to overcome many obstacles. You can understand that in life. And it's almost like she's had to pull herself up. Like I know she's had family or friends pull herself up, but I feel she's had to do a lot of it on her own. And she's even had to change careers or really change her life. Maybe she was moving one direction and an event happened, or something happened and she's had to go the other direction. I do want to tell you that I feel she's very connected to her spirit guides, is what I'm feeling with her, Jessica. And what they're telling me is that there's a move in front of her. So not only has she been moving, but I kind of feel like another move for Jessica, whether her business maybe reaches out and she moves her business. So it may not be a residential, a home move. Maybe it's just a reaching out or a physical office move with her. But look, she also can do anything. And I just feel in some way she's a survivor, or she is a warrior, when I feel that energy, right? When people overcome trials and tribulations, right? They are a warrior. So I love that about her.
I do too. I think that's important. And again, tying into, she has native roots. And so tying into the native roots, and I think that is very impactful for her. And I think it'll be really great for her to hear you say that. It's it's one thing for me to say it to all these people, but it's just so validating when somebody else says it as well. And especially I won't say famous, but you're kind of famous. You're on a lot of different shows and stuff like that. So yeah, for sure. I'm gonna say you're famous. Let's say that. I love it. How can people find you? How does this work? Where are you at? Where are you located? How can people connect with you?
Well, I work with clients all over the world, all different time zones. So the easiest way to reach me is through my website, which is mediumcheryl.com. That's my easiest way. You can send me an email. You can schedule with me by phone, by Zoom right now. When we are out and being able to get with people again, I will I would love to see people again in person. I used to do a lot of in-person readings, but I also am very comfortable with Zoom and phone once again. So they can always reach me on my website, mediumcheryl.com, or my Facebook page, at Medium Cheryl, like my page, find out what's going on. I'm always posting my events, what's coming up. Like I said, I'm doing so much live Facebook right now that, I get a lot of communication that way with people. I get to do a lot of readings. I get to offer a lot of healing too, because that way, as a group, you have all that group energy, feeling that. And just to let you know, Tanya, just to let your viewers know that I do a monthly healing prayer circle. And yeah, it's one Sunday every month, and you can sign up. It's for free. It's free to join. It's my way of giving back, of letting people experience the joy of meditation, of healing. So once again, it's my healing prayer circle. It's an online event. So you can sign up on my website.
Oh, I think that's perfect. I'm glad you mentioned it because I had to remember. I'm like, oh, I got to remember to talk about that. So I'm glad you did. So yeah, definitely sign up for her prayer circles. Get a reading from Cheryl. And you know what? It's interesting because I was, as you were talking there, I was thinking, well, she's going to do in person. How do I get an in-person reading with her? Because so again, you and I've only experienced each other on Zoom, and I absolutely love your energy. I can only imagine if I love you this much, how much even more in person. I think it would be just phenomenal. So I think I have one more question for you. Would you be open, and I'm throwing it out there. I love healing, and I love that we're all in the same layer. Open to doing a demonstration together maybe in the future?
I would love it.
I think that was so much fun.
I think it would be so much fun too. I would be a blast, actually. I
I
think
think so too.
really bring into a lot of good readings for people and healing, and because your energy is off the charts. So I would love to connect with you also.
All right. We're going to make that happen. Stay tuned. We're definitely making that happen because I just love and adore you so much. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for coming on and agreeing to be on the show. It means a lot to me, and I love being able to interact with you this way.
You're welcome. It's been a joy. Thank you.
Good. And that's it for us for today.